Welcome to Golf and the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, he is Connor Evers, and today we are doing a deep dive into the west coast of Scotland. But before we get there, Connor, great to see you as always, man. As this comes out, we are T-minus 1 week away from the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, so exciting times all around. What's the latest and greatest on your side of the screen?
Age, all good. Folks are again enjoying themselves across the pond. The weather has been amazing, almost too amazing to a point, as probably folks have seen the news throughout the entire world. And it's been really warm here in the States, but even overseas. I even saw there was some railroad track that was melting or something in Germany. I can't remember the whole thing. And nonetheless, but in Scotland and England and Ireland, it has been warm in the 80s. I heard there was some caddies at Royal Troon, specifically to our podcast today, that were getting kind of that heat stroke, if you will. It's been very warm. So 85 degrees over there, very warm there. Maybe not as warm as it usually sometimes gets in the height of summer in some parts of the States, but weather has been good. And as you said, links golf is upon us. We've got the Scottish Open, we've got the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. And as we're talking today and recording, Deej, the final qualifying for the Open Championship is going on. Dundalk, West Lancashire, let's see, I'm blanking on the other ones. Royal Cinque Ports. There's one more, Burnham and Borough in England. So at 4 sites, and looking forward to seeing who qualifies for that. And yours truly is heading across the pond here in a few weeks for a fun trip. We'll have some more information on that in a while, but I am going to England. That's all the information I'll share at this point in time. special trip, DJ. But as always, when we get into the episode, a shout out to members departing the coming days from Ben Golf Club, Chevy Chase Club, the Cal Club, Charleston Country Club, Marion Golf Club, and the Alotian Club. So shout out to them as they're about to depart, as I mentioned, across the pond. And as we talked about these field reports, a lot of them are about driver hosts, and we have another really great one to share from Mr. Bill Ryan from Denver Country Club. He says, create your group. No drama queens or high maintenance people. Enjoy the local life. Get out to the pubs and town centers. The Irish people are wonderful. Keith Boyd, our driver host, is great. We got to learn about and support his favorite Irish football team, watch their game in his local town pub, and even meet his mom. Wow, how special. That really made the trip special and personal. Huge shout out to him. So great report from Mr. Bill Ryan from Denver Country Club. What a great report, and just shows how important driver host is to every expedition.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like we always say, it is the people, these reports from our driver hosts, they come in all the time. But this was the first time anyone had ever mentioned that they met somebody's mom. And so I thought that it absolutely needed to be mentioned. I mean, yeah, how cool and how personal does it get? Then, you've got this person who becomes an extra member of your group, like you always say, Connor, to the point that you're meeting his family, and really special stuff. And on the weather thing, I think it has cooled off some, but just a little personal note. My parents are in Europe presently, and my dad sent me the weather forecast a couple days ago. And I just assumed it was for Florida because that's where we live. And it said 100 degrees. No big deal though. It's summer. I don't think much about it. And then I look a little closer and it's Amsterdam where they're heading. And so, yeah, I guess it's cooled off, but my goodness, they're not equipped for that level of heat. Hopefully everybody remembered their sunblock and the sunglasses for sure. And yeah, all the clubs traveling, when I pulled that list, we had, I think it was 34 clubs traveling this week represented here in the States from 19 different states. I just thought that was kind of random, hitting so many different states. But back to today's episode. So, Connor and I, we realized not long ago that we've done a lot of deep dives into individual regions, and somehow we have completely missed Ayrshire and the west coast of Scotland. I have no idea how that happened. I mean, we've done Aberdeen, the Highlands, Southwest Ireland. I think we did 3 episodes on Southwest Ireland. Somehow we have overlooked Ayrshire. So to all of our friends on the west coast, I'm sorry. We're making good on it right now. And it's appropriate timing given that the Open is next week as this is coming out, because this area is the birthplace of the Open Championship. We'll talk more about this, but of course, 1860 at Prestwick was the first one, and the first many were all held there as well. But as we always do, Connor, let's talk a little about the planner's perspective to kick things off here. So The West Coast factors into obviously a lot of our expeditions for a number of very good reasons. What's your approach when you're talking about the West Coast?
Absolutely. The nice thing about the West Coast is it's a very compact area, given just the area of the Ayrshire coast. Look at Northwest England. You can stay in one hotel and play all the great links courses there. Same thing for East Lothian on the other side of Scotland, North Berwick, Muirfield, Dunbar, Gull number one. The list goes on. So it's kind of similar to the West Coast. The main four, which I'll talk about, and the other supporting cast of other golf courses are amazing. This coast is littered with links golf in and around that area, which is nice. And you can stay in the same hotel or maybe two, just to kind of plan everything if you do a trip just in that West Coast. The nice thing is there's also a lot of short drives. So you could stay in the town of Troon, at Marine Troon, and walk to the first tee at Royal Troon. You've got about a 10-minute drive to Dundonald, Western Gailes, Prestwick as well. So that's kind of the nice thing. But I will say a lot of folks that are going to the west coast of Scotland, they're going there for a few nights, call it 2, 3, 4 nights, and then going off to another area throughout Scotland, or that's maybe their last stop on the trip as well. So that's usually what folks do. But I'll kind of start off and say that the four main courses a lot of folks will book. Now this is kind of more objective, but mostly this is what it is the Ailsa Course at Turnberry, Royal Troon, Prestwick, and Western Gales. Those are the four main ones. So kind of to start off, Royal Troon, a lot of folks want to play this. Last time the Open was hosted at Royal Troon was 2024, so it's pretty recent. And demand on the tee sheet is quite high. They're only open for visitors Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays each week, and that's it. They do have limited tee times in the morning and the afternoon. I would recommend getting on this as soon as possible. This is the course that usually sells out the earliest and the quickest on the Ayrshire coast. The nice thing too about Royal Troon, not a lot of folks know it, but you can look at their tee sheet online. They may say they're sold out. Well, they have what's called hotel times. So they partner with Marine Troon as well as Loch Green, and there's a couple other hotels I can't remember. They're not Haversham and Baker vetted properties, but if you confirm that you're staying at one of those hotels, they actually have a few hotel times per day that you can stay. So just something to consider as well when doing the planning. Next up is Prestwick, home of the Open Championship, as DJ mentioned, one of my favorite golf courses across the pond. A fantastic experience. Planning there is Monday. You can play there Monday through Friday. They're closed on Saturdays, and they have some times on Sundays as well. The rate on Fridays and Sundays is a weekend rate, so it's a little bit more than Monday through Thursday. So keep that in mind as well. But usually have great availability and more flexibility than True would have on that standpoint. And kind of the next one there would be, Western Gales. They have great availability. They usually will hold tee times and confirm later in the year. So it's kind of in the summer months of the year before. So June, July or so is when you're getting your confirmation for the following year. But they're open 7 days a week. Tee times on the weekends are 2:30, 3 o'clock, give or take, so a little bit later. But you can play it 7 days a week, which is nice. A really awesome links experience there at Western Gales. And the next up, our kind of last one I'll talk about is Turnberry. The Ailsa course is incredible. Just did a renovation to the course. Ocean views practically from every hole on the Ailsa course. It's amazing. As some folks have seen in kind of recent news, they have upped the greens fee for if you're not staying on property. Turnberry is kind of not requiring you to stay on property, but making it more advantageous to get a discounted greens fee, we'll say, with staying on property. And they actually also did a renovation to some of their villas and lodges on property. And if you stay there, they're further down from the hotel. You don't have access to the breakfast in the main hotel. You have it actually in the clubhouse, but you do have access to those green fees that are discounted if with staying on property. There's also King Robert the Bruce course. They're putting in a par 3 course. They're just kind of making it more of a kind of stay and play experience. Great dining on property, great spa. It's an amazing place from a hotel perspective, and the course as well. Like I said, you don't have to stay on property to play it. The rate does increase substantially in your summer months of June, July, August, and September. If you stay at, say, Marine Troon in town and drive the 40 minutes south to play there. So that's kind of the planning there for your four main golf courses. Again, Western Gales, Royal Troon, Prestwick, and the Ailsa Course at Turnberry.
That's great insight. And as usual, I'm going to say that it sounds a little bit like a puzzle. I mean, especially if you are, combining the West Coast with another region and you are wanting to play, say, Royal Troon, where there's limited visitor days or what have you, working around all that, sort of piecing it into the handful of days that you might have, that can be part of that puzzle. But that's obviously why somebody has you and the rest of our colleagues there. But what's interesting, and you kind of touched on this earlier, is that, and this sort of aligns with kind of what you're seeing or what we're seeing in terms of travel in general, where people are sort of wanting to slow down a little bit, maybe not move quite as much, maybe skip some hotel changes if they can. And we're finding that more and more of our groups are wanting to essentially just base themselves only in Ayrshire. They come to the West Coast, you can stay in one hotel. Some do elect to maybe split their stay. Maybe they stay at the Donald Lodges, which you'll touch on here maybe in a little bit, and then combine it with a couple nights at Turnberry. You get a little bit of a best of both worlds thing. But most will just kind of base at one lodging, and obviously that takes so much of the logistics out of it. You're not changing, hotels, you're unpacking one time. It just makes for a totally different pace of the trip. And there's enough great golf here to back that up. Not just those four headliners, but so much of the supporting cast that we'll talk about here in a bit. So it's been interesting to see that shift happen. I think the other thing that we're seeing as well is it's also a pretty great bridge, if you will, or a great combination, taking the West Coast and pairing it with Northern Ireland. You take the ferry from Cairnryan over to Belfast, and so you can do those big four that you're talking about here on the West Coast, pop across the Irish Sea, and you've got Royal Portrush, Royal County Down, Ardglass, Port Stewart. You talk about a best of both worlds type situation. And we're seeing more and more groups that are doing that because, folks come to us a lot of times and they're like, all right, I want to do Scotland and Ireland. And it's like, well, do you have 2 months available? Because that's what it takes to do it all. But if you're wanting just kind of a little bit of both and still hit some of those really key marquee courses, this is a great way to do it. It obviously eats a day, maybe mid trip, where you got to do that transition, taking the ferry. I did it once. I thought it was a great ferry, enjoyed the ride over, and then boof, you're in Belfast, and the city kind of lays out in front of you. So it's a great combination. But those two things, either staying put for the week or the combo with Northern Ireland, you could probably attest. It's been an increasingly common thing for our expeditions heading over.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just had a group in May this year, and they just did a Ayrshire coast only trip, and played some of the other courses, Prestwick St. Nicholas. I think a couple added on King Robert the Bruce, and it just creates that atmosphere. And I don't know. I think I used to travel personally, and I try to get as many places as you can. It's like, you know what? There's something nice about settling in a one location and really experiencing it from a golf perspective too. And you get to play those other courses. Go try these other courses because you're going to get a great experience. Those courses aren't used to the amount of visitors that Turnberry and Troon get. Their tee sheets are going to be full every single year. And these other clubs just aren't, and you're gonna have a great experience there too. So that's what I throw in there. And yeah, that west coast of Scotland and Northern Ireland trip is awesome. You do have to get planning on it quick, just because of the Royal Portrush, Royal County Down situation with getting those tee times. But once you have those kind of solidified, everything else kind of works its way in with True Next and what have you from a planning perspective. But two great trips. But kind of more specifics around the big four courses. The Ailsa course is ranked number 18 by golf.com in the world. It's for a good reason. I've only played the Ailsa course once, but I think there isn't any other course that has just this like perfect crescendo of golf. I mean, it starts off, you're like, this is it. I mean, the first couple holes are good, but not great. And then you get out to the lighthouse, you get out by the views, and it's an amazing experience. And going up 18 towards the hotel in the background is it's an awesome experience there. Prestwick, ranked number 58 in the world by golf.com, birthplace of the Open Championship, as we all know. It's one of, if not my favorite golf courses overseas. I've been fortunate enough to play a few more courses. So I might just be moving down there, but it's definitely my top three. I had a friend, shout out to him. His name's Adam Gabby. He did a trip, and I told him, I said, you got to play Prestwick. Just go do it. And I said, it's a little quirky because, he may not be into that stuff. And he comes back and he said, wow, I'm so glad you acknowledged it. You told me about to at least go play it. Had a great experience. and he used to work at Seminole. So there's a relationship between the club and Seminole, which is neat for him. And he's like, you know what? It wasn't as quirky as you said it was. There's a couple blind shots and what have you, but the experience there, the history of the club, that's what matters. And they just opened up a new renovated bar upstairs. At DJ, you did a great post on it, so I definitely go up there and recommend you get a drink, pre or post golf. You've got Royal Troon, number 58. I'm sorry, 53 in the world by golf.com. Open Road, as I mentioned, last hosted there in 2024. Postage Stamp is one of the best par threes across the pond, hole 8. What have you made on that hole in the past, Deej? Do you remember many big numbers? You made any
I made
pars?
a 4 the first
Yeah,
time I played it, missed the green right, couldn't get up and down, and then I did make a par. I've played it twice and made a par the other time.
yeah.
So
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, you have to stay committed to your shots, usually about a wedge or maybe one or more, less than that. And bunkers to the left, death to the right, and you just got to hit a perfect golf shot. I went way to the left, just left of the bunker because I was scared of going right. Got up and got on the green. I two putted for my bogey. I'm fine. So it's a good hole. Western Gales, pure links golf experience. Great club. You get lunch included with your greens fees, or early dinner too. Just an awesome experience there. It's one of those where maybe you're planning the trip a little late and you can't get maybe Prestwick or Troon, and we have to fill in a course, and it doesn't feel like a filler. You have to tell people that. Western Gales is amazing. One of my favorite courses. Some people have never heard of it, but I definitely recommend folks maybe spending another day or so on the Ayrshire coast, even if they're going to somewhere else to play it, because you're going to have a great experience there. And again, it's open 7 days a week. So I wouldn't even say it's good arrival day golf. It's one of those where you need some good sleep and to play. But those are kind of the more details of the big four there.
yeah, Western Gales could never ever be considered filler. I mean,
Yeah,
if Western Gales appears on your itinerary and you've never heard of it and you're wondering what this place is,
yeah,
just trust it. Trust the
yeah,
process, as they say. We actually, one of our surveys, the guy said that just a couple days ago. Trust the process, and that I'd
yeah,
like to think maybe he read his itinerary and thought, "What's this Western Gales place?" And
yeah,
then got there, and it turned out being a favorite. Classic place. I love Western Gales. Prestwick. It's funny you tell that story about your friend and his connection to Seminole. So I don't know if I ever told you about when I bumped into Bob Ford at Prestwick. I may have mentioned it even here. I'm not sure, but I'm in Prestwick. I'm playing the next day, and I popped into the pro shop just to. I was actually trying to change my tee time, which I did, thanks to David and the team there. And as I'm walking out, Bob Ford is walking in, and it's like, "Hello, Mr. Ford." Just shook his hand, off we went. And then I asked the next day, and he had brought over a group of Seminole members, and they were playing a match against the members of Prestwick. So it's really cool to see that connection between the clubs from both sides of the Atlantic. But some special places, no doubt about it. And yes, if you are playing Prestwick, do not miss the new upstairs bar area. Obviously, it's brand new, so it's fresh and it's exciting. But the view out over the links and just the opportunity to kind of sit and savor that history a little bit more, it's a special place, no doubt about it. So, all right. So we always talk about how what makes the destination isn't necessarily always the heavy hitters, the headliners, the bucket list, whatever you want to call it, the ones that have brought you over. What more often than not ends up making these places what they are is the supporting cast. It's those courses that you've never heard of. They show up on your itinerary, you go, and it turns out to be one of the best days. And I think I explained on a previous episode, my theory is one of expectations. You arrive to those first 4 courses with expectations. You don't arrive to these next 5 or so courses with expectations. And when you get there, though, and you see what's there, it's just so much easier to blow those expectations out of the water, and the experience delivers at all of them. Dundonald Links is at the top of this list. It's borderline making its way into the top ones because
yeah.
it is more in the rotation these days. It's a modern course designed by Kyle Phillips, who co-designed Kings Barnes with the late Mark Parsonen. But I mean, it's hosted a Scottish Open. It's hosted the Women's Scottish Open. Has some on-site lodging. Connor, I think you'll talk more about that here in a minute. Great experience all around. Right next door to Dundonald. In fact, both of these courses, Dundonald Links and Kilmarnock Barassi, if you are on the back 9 at Western Gales and you look directly across the railroad track, you're basically looking at both of them. In fact, not long ago, I posted a picture, took it with my drone, and it was looking across the tracks. And I think Kilmarnock replied and was like, "Come on over. We got plenty of space on the tee sheet if you want to play." But again, another classic type links course, just a good, honest venue, an open qualifying venue as well, but definitely sort of one of those underrated places that deserves more attention. You mentioned King Robert the Bruce. Of course you did. Second course, Connor. Look, it's at Turnberry. It's going to be in impeccable shape. It's a great choice if you're staying at Turnberry and you want that bonus golf, or you want an arrival day round that maybe wasn't on the docket. Prestwick St. Nicholas, I think, is a quiet H&B favorite. Our colleague Chris McCon played Prestwick St. Nicholas a while back, and I think he was prepared to become an overseas member. I don't know where that stands, but loved it. And again, the history of some of these places that you just don't realize they have. Prestwick St. Nicholas is the 26th oldest golf club in the world. Old Tom Morris was a founding member, founded the same year as Prestwick itself. I mean, it's wild. You walk into these courses and it's like a place you've never heard of. And it's like, well, here's 170 some odd years of history at this, great place. But classic links, seaside, all the things you would want from a great links experience. And then I added to the list as well, Irvine Golf Club. I got to pause and say, I can never remember if it's Irvine or Irvin. If you are listening and I've butchered it, I apologize. But I stopped here about a year ago, maybe. And wow, was I impressed. Some really great terrain, some really interesting holes. It's a place that if you're on the West Coast and you're coming from, say, Glasgow Airport, you've driven right by. And it's one of those places that you just would never know was there unless somebody told you. So if you were, let's say you're flying in, you want an arrival day round, knock off the cobwebs, it's a great choice for it. Just like I said, some really fun and intriguing holes out there. But, Connor, when you take the two combined, the Big Four and the supporting cast, and you think about the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, you're 15 minutes from north to south to most of these courses. If you tack Turnberry in, you're no more than an hour from north to south to any of these places. We talked about England's Golf Coast pretty in depth here recently, but in terms of a concentration of great links golf, it's pretty tough to beat the West Coast of Scotland.
You're totally right. And, like I said, it's just like these other coasts where you can just stay in one area and play all the great links courses in and around there. But kind of next up, I wanted to talk briefly about the lodging, and more specifically the lodging options that are in the area. I'll say kind of the three main ones are in the Troon area. So that would be Marine Troon, Dundonald, and Lochgreen. For sake of conversation, they're all about 10 minutes from each other. And you've got Turnberry, which of course, staying on property down in Turnberry, that's about a 40 to 50-minute drive south, depending on traffic and if you're in a coach down from the Troon area. So we'll start with Turnberry. Like I said, 40 minutes down there. You're kind of on your own. I mean, there's a few things to do off property, but not as much. Hotel is incredible. You've got deluxe rooms that have a view, that don't have a view of the ocean. You have regular deluxe ocean views along with suites that have views overlooking the ocean. Rooms are magnificent. They're amazing. And I mentioned too, they have some villas that they're, like I said, are very redone, and you can have multiple groups in there. They have up to 6-bedroom lodges. So I have a group of 12 gents actually. You can twin every room, so 6-bed, 6-bathroom lodge on property. So you can really keep your costs down if you do go that route, especially for a group of 12. If you're gonna go twin occupancy, so we do have that option there at Turnberry, which is cool. So if you mosey your way up more north towards the Troon area, you've got Marine Troon, which, given the name, you're actually right there at Royal Troon. You can walk from the first tee of Royal Troon to your hotel, which is great. So suffices some driver hour issues. You can just walk right there. You see the hotel from holes 1, 2, 3, and 4-ish. And then when you come in, you can also see it right there. They have a putting green right off property. A lot of the rooms overlook the sea there. A great restaurant down below. You're not really walking distance from the town of Troon, but it's like a 25-minute walk. But you could, if you really wanted to and up for it. But usually it is a short ride or a taxi into town. But great property there in Troon. And then you've got Dundonald. McDonald, which it's kind of on its own from a lodging perspective, but they do have lodges on property. They have one restaurant inside the kind of main clubhouse to use as well. They have up to 6 bedroom lodges too, so really nice there on property. But again, you are kind of more on your own, not really closer to the town of Troon. And then Loch Green, kind of a 4-star property right there, a little bit further away from the town of Troon, but we'll use that as well. But all good lodging options. And it kind of fits what you want from kind of lodges and shared accommodations up to suites with ocean views from that perspective. So the coast kind of has all that from what you're looking for.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Plenty of great options. We should point out these are typically the options that H&B expeditions are going to be staying at. There's plenty of other options in and around the Ayrshire area, but these 4 are the ones that we, obviously our groups are frequenting. You really can't beat when you're sitting at your hotel room and looking out across the 1st and 18th of Royal Troon or at Turnberry or what have you. So great options there. Continuing kind of on the good life side. So I did this last week when we were talking about North Berwick, some local, stops, restaurants, what have you. I think the first thing that's got to be said is that the west coast of Scotland, for as amazing and as incredible as it is when it comes to golf, from a sightseeing, touring destination standpoint, there's not a lot that's going to keep you busy for a whole week. If you are traveling with tourists who are not bringing their clubs and you're hoping to fill 3, 4, 5 days over here, candidly, you might struggle. There are some good sites. Colzean Castle happens to be one that comes to mind. A great, castle/palace situation down in the Turnberry area. President Eisenhower used to come here quite frequently, and they have an Eisenhower apartment upstairs that's in his honor. Some other places that come to mind, the Jam Jar. This is a great whiskey shop that's in Troon that does private tastings. A lot of our members have gone there as well. If you're staying at Turnberry, you've got a little more at your disposal in terms of course, there's the spa, there's the outdoor pursuits, so you can do some clay pigeon shooting, you can do some horseback riding, things like that. There's enough to kind of keep you occupied for a couple of days, sort of thing. But are you really going to fill a week? Maybe not. This is definitely more of a golf-centered destination. But if that's why you're coming, then there's certainly no trouble. For that trip where you're pairing the West Coast with another region, you've probably got enough, to fill some days for some tourists as well. And then, of course, if you wanted to take the train up to Glasgow, that's pretty easy. The train station literally backs up to the first tee at Prestwick. So you could hop that, take a day trip up to Glasgow and tool around there as well. From a dining standpoint, I will say the West Coast happens to have some of my favorite restaurant options. Scott's in Troon has been a fan favorite for a long time. It's right there on the marina. Great views, awesome for the sunset. Of course, Turnberry has some great options as well. Duel in the Sun is just a great option right after golf up in the clubhouse. The Lido in Prestwick has been a longtime favorite of mine. A little bit of everything on the menu. There is a Lido in Troon. Candidly, I've never been there, but I have been to the one in Prestwick many times, and it's always a great option. Vic's in the Vine there in Prestwick as well. 2 more great options. If you are looking to tie in a little bit of golf history, you also can't miss the Red Lion. Basically, it's steps from the first tee at Prestwick, and it's where all of the competitors before and probably after the Open Championship got together to sort of set the day, I guess. But that's where they met, and that's where the tournament then kicked off over on the Prestwick Links. It's right around the corner. And of course, old Tom Morris, he would have lived right around the corner from there at the Red Lion. I believe his former flat is, I want to say it's a pharmacy or it's
the Boots.
Okay.
The Boots
Okay,
Pharmacy.
It's the Boots. All right. Great
Yep.
info. So yeah, so how random, you got a Boots Pharmacy, you got a pub, the Costa's across the street, and old Tom Morris used to live here, 170 years ago or whatever it is now. So that's more or less the good life on the West Coast. It's a golf-centered place, but if you're looking for some great dining, there's plenty of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, did you hit the nail on the head there? One other thing I forgot too. So my first time going to Scotland, I played Prestwick, and I stayed at this little B&B that's right across the street. You can take a right into like the car park at Prestwick, but on the left, there's a couple just like golf B&Bs, and college budgets. That's where I stayed, and it was great. My bed overlooked a window out to the links. I mean, I'm like, this is awesome. It's like 40 pounds a night. Whoever owned it cooked me breakfast the following morning, went out and played, and I moved on to Edinburgh afterwards. But I've always like had that place pinged on Google Maps. I fast forward to last October. I'm talking to the folks at Prestwick. They say, "Oh, we just bought this little, old B&B, and we're like converting it and going to make it, just a couple bedrooms, and you can stay there." I can't remember if they're doing like a little discount on rates, but it's kind of your on-site lodging. And sure enough, it's the same exact one. I'm like,
How
what
fun.
are the odds? I'm like, different stages of life converting into one.
How
So
fun. Yeah.
just thought I
It goes from being a college budget stay, what's the cheapest thing I can get that I can walk
yep.
to the course, to if you're staying at Prestwick and you've done the Prestwick experience and you need to stumble back somewhere afterward, we got this place right across the street.
Yeah.
That's great info. There's an
Oh,
Airbnb that I've stayed at a couple times it backs up to the railroad track
yeah.
on the town side of the railroad track. So not the beach
Yeah.
side, but the town side. And I mean, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
basically a glass house type situation that jets off the back of this other house, sort of like this North Berwick place that I shared the last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a 1 bedroom flat, and it's like a 2 minute walk, underneath the bridge for the train track to Prestwick, and you're there. So if you need an Airbnb, look up that place. I wish I knew what it was called, but it's literally adjacent to the railroad track. But how funny. Connor's old pad is now owned by Prestwick Golf Club.
So good. But I have no other final thoughts now. I think we hit the nail on the head. And I guess last advice, just go. Just go. It's great. You're going to enjoy it. Golf is fantastic. Definitely put some more consideration into the other courses. Not the top four, but the other ones. You're going to have a great experience there.
Yep. From start to finish, the amount of golf, the lodging, it really does have it all. It has everything that you would want from a great expedition. So, all right, well, we're going to wrap this one up. Again, to our friends on the West Coast and Ayrshire, sorry it took us so long to do an episode based only on you, but here we are. Thanks for sticking with us through this one. As usual, I will link to some things in the show notes for the episode. If you have any questions or field reports from your own travels, send them to us, goff@haversham.com. You can DM us on social media as well. Connor and I will be back again with another episode, but until then, enjoy the Open Championship, and we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.